Alrighty, how are we doing today? Making this little video because I've called it "What They Really Sell," and basically I've realised that I realised this a long time ago, but I've realised more lately that shops and businesses, products and services mostly don't sell what we think they sell. So basically, I was in a big shopping centre here in Bluewater, and that's where I am in Kent, in the UK. And after about 10 minutes or so of walking around, and I was looking at all the different stores, thinking, oh, they sell quite different things, clothes and phones, shoes, things like that, coffees. And I found that, yeah, they're all different. But the longer I walked around, the more I started to think that most of these businesses aren't really selling the thing that we would think they're selling. And I'll explain. Once I saw it, I just couldn't unsee it. And I think it's the same for most people who see it. So I walked past Rolex, great brand, but are they really selling watches? Yeah, they're selling watches, and they're great watches, you know. But if it were just watches, then they wouldn't be Rolex, would they? Because you can buy a watch anywhere, really, not anywhere, but easily from most places around the world. You can buy a watch, probably quite cheap, £10, £20, £30. You could go online and buy one at the airport, etc., etc. But clearly that's not what people are paying for, because they cost thousands of pounds. So what they're really buying with Rolex is this sense of achievement, this feeling of success, status, prestige, and such things. I would even say sex appeal. It's even, to some extent, a mating strategy to own something like that. But then I walked on further and I thought, yeah, that's interesting. Strong brand. And I walked past Apple, another very strong brand, with a huge ecosystem that once they sort of tend to get you into, you're in it almost for life. I know I'm in the Apple ecosystem. But I had the same thought with that. I thought people, they don't just sell phones. I know they sell loads of other tech as well, but let's just talk about the phones. It's not just phones, is it? Because you can buy better phones than theirs and cheaper phones than theirs. But people will queue up round the corner of the shop on the day of release of a new Apple product, definitely a phone, because it's an Apple phone and they want that brand. And yeah, there's a lot of usability that goes with it. I know I like just the way they operate and the user interface. But why do people want Apple? They're buying simplicity, design. They're buying that classic Apple design that they know and love. And more importantly, I would say identity. They're buying the identity of being an Apple user. I know Apple, I think a while ago when I read on their mission statement, it's to challenge the status quo, I think, which is really cool. So they've created a whole new brand, an ecosystem. And obviously they're quite a premium price on them as well. They're probably not a luxury item, I would say, but they're definitely premium. So then I walked past a coffee shop. I got myself a coffee, and when I was in there, it got really interesting because I was in Starbucks. And I think with them, you're buying that. Well, for me, it feels like I'm buying sort of a routine, really, a break, a place to sit, a moment between the things that I'm doing that day. And a little slice of that sort of Seattle West Coast lifestyle, a little moment. You're actually buying a sliver of that lifestyle. Oh yeah, I'll go in here, have a coffee, it'll be like I'm in Seattle. That's how I feel about it. The coffee itself is not the whole experience, obviously. So that's when I realised that businesses that seem to do best often understand what people are actually buying, not just the product that they're selling. They understand the meaning behind that product. So then I went somewhere unexpected with my mind after that. I started thinking about people, not just businesses. And because maybe it's true for not just businesses, but people as well. So when we're selling services to businesses or other people, B2B or B2C, and I thought about musicians. I'm a musician, and I thought, yeah, they're not, and I've always known this, we're not selling music. Or, well, we're selling songs, yeah, but songs are a story, and songs are an emotion and a feeling. It's actually making people, not making, but suggesting to people that they can feel a certain way with the music that we create. It's not actually the music. People want to feel a certain way when they hear the music, the song, the words, the lyrics, the story. So I would say musicians sell feelings. Creators, online creators and things, they're not selling videos, are they? Like this here. They're selling a perspective. And they're selling, well, can be feelings as well, but they're mainly selling, I would say, perspective. Teachers, I thought about them. They're not selling information. They're selling progress. Hope, possibility. And then I wonder how many people struggle because they focus on the wrong thing. They might spend all their time improving a product without understanding why somebody wanted it in the first place. Guitar lessons, not really guitar lessons. It's the feeling of finally being able to play the song that you've always wanted to play. That's what a guitar teacher is actually selling. And then I've got gym membership. It's not about access to equipment, even though that's technically what you get. It's the possibility to become something else. It's transformation. That's what's being sold. Holidays, they're an experience. They're not just a destination. It's a whole experience, a whole dream to live out for the person. And a memory as well, the memory that you're creating with that experience. So the product matters. Of course it matters. But the meaning, I think, matters more. And that's probably the biggest thing that I took away from this trip that I had to Bluewater here in Kent, in England. Most successful businesses aren't just better at making products. They're better at understanding people and why they actually buy the product, the meaning behind it. So maybe that's a useful question for all of us to ask, whether you and I are building the right product or service, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, who it's for, and what we think these people who are buying it are going to be buying it for. If you're creating content or making music or simply trying to move towards a dream, what are you really selling? Have a think about that. What are you really selling? Because the answer might be very different from what you initially thought when you actually dig down and do some research on it. So that was my concluding thought on this. And of course, my channel here on YouTube, again, you might think it's just information, just a chit-chat channel, whatever. It's clarity. I'm actually bringing clarity So I'm looking at everything through this lens of clarity and orientation, and that's the service that I'm bringing to my audience, to you guys. So I'll leave you with that thought, and that's all I've got for now. And I've got a new little outro mantra: get clear and get going.